we've seen this. Come on, please give us a cinematic.
What makes you believe you're not just a weapon to achieve his ends?
Enough! Join our cause, or be made to serve.
Right now, you hold all the power. Make your choice, Sylvanas Windrunner.
Alright, here we go.
Despite all our efforts, the Maw continues to grow. What if Denathrius' treachery is irreparable? The Primus is lost, and Bastion cannot save the Shadowlands alone.
None of this should have happened.
Perhaps the Winter Queen could.
My Archon, a living soul, seeks an audience.
A mortal?
A king.
No!
By
What?
all our measures,
Whoa!
one who has spent his life striving for justice.
Uther!
One who would give anything to serve his people.
He recognizes
One
him?
whose heart is true.
Very well. He may approach.
How did he get out of the mall?
Step forward. My Ascended have spoken of you. The king held captive in the Maw.
That prison could not hold me forever.
There is something
Why
wrong.
have you come
There
to
is something
Bastion?
wrong.
You have a key
Oh boy.
that I need.
Oh shite.
You
Oh boy.
will release this soul from your grasp.
No. He is bound to me, just as you once sought to bind your own.
Oh shit. Oh damn. Holy crap! Anduin just killed the Archon. Oh, damn.
The vessel performed its part flawlessly. 3 keys remain. Then they will see. Death was never meant to be chained.
Whoa! Good afternoon, everyone. This is Scotch, one half of Sour Mash and Scotch. Thank you so much for deciding to check out this quick and impromptu video on this cold and blustery winter afternoon. If you don't mind, please hit that subscribe button below and ring that bell. Feel free to also leave a comment or two. Anything to please the YouTube algorithm gods. What you just saw was my live reaction to the new cinematic for Shadowlands patch 9.1 Chains of Domination. The cinematic is titled Kingsmourne, and while it wasn't a fully rendered type of cinematic, it was still glorious nonetheless, and it threw us right into action and answered the burning question that was on the tip of everyone's tongue after seeing the last cinematic, apparently depicting a wavering Sylvanas Windrunner. Well, now we know she wasn't wavering nearly enough. I'd like to give a quick breakdown and my thoughts on Kingsmourne after watching it a few times. I'm sure I'll miss something, but hey, that just gives me more excuses to continue to watch it. We start out immediately in Smurf Village, where the Kyrian bureaucracy community is deep in discussion about how screwed they all are, especially after Denathrius betrayed them and sent all of his go-go Jews straight to the Maw and the jailer. Right when Loyalty Smurf is about to mention asking the Winter Queen for help, Smurfette number 1 swoops in and tells Mama Smurf that a mortal is here to see her, and not just any old mortal, a king. This struck me as a little odd. As we see Anduin walking alone into the heart of Bastion, and to meet the Archon, we hear Smurfette practically gushing over how noble and just Anduin is, how revered he is, how he is practically already the paragon of awesomeness. For the entirety of time that we've known the Kyrians, the biggest thing we've learned about them is that the foundation of their system is mind-wiping you the second you join the Covenant. You are to forget what you were and who you were in life. It matters no longer here. Smurfette shouldn't give two Larian turds about who Anduin is, nor how any other living being feels about him. What he has done in life should matter zero to the Kyrian, so why is she making such a fuss about him? It's almost like she was ensorcelled somehow. The second clue that we get that something is horribly wrong is when we see Uther being chaperoned by two Kyrian guards and walking right past Anduin. Now, I'm not sure if Anduin would recognize Uther. I would guess not. Maybe. Uther died 4 years before the events of Vanilla, so that would have made Anduin 3 or 4 at the time. Maybe? Regardless, I doubt he would have remembered him even if he had met him. I don't believe that Uther recognizes Anduin either, but he sure as hell knows something is wrong. You instantly see a look of shock and then fear on Uther's face, and then he immediately clutches his chest, exactly where Frostmourne ripped through him. Two possibilities. Uther automatically remembers Frostmourne because its true master just walked by him and has somehow infiltrated Bastion, and or Uther senses the wrongness in this person that bears a striking resemblance to the guy that killed him with the cursed Morn blade, Arthas Menethil. Quick aside, Uther is still an outcast in Smurf Village. One of his guards roughly shoved him back in place after he was staring at Anduin for a few seconds. So we're reminded that the Kyrians are still treating the guy that was their first warning beacon that something was terribly wrong in the Shadowlands as a 2-bit criminal. Their stupidity will be their undoing. Anyway, the Arthas Anduin comparisons are front and center again in this cinematic. Blizzard has been heavy-handed with the overt references and parallels since BFA, which I'm perfectly fine with, as I've always been a huge Arthas fan. The first reference we see is the aforementioned Uther stare. Uther feels something akin to Arthas in his presence, and it freaks him out, understandably. The second reference we get is when Anduin reveals himself to be an agent of the Jailer and summons a newly remade Charlemagne, now known as Kingsmourne, which we got a glimpse of in the last cinematic. Anduin grasps the hilt with 2 hands and violently plunges it into the ground, immobilizing the Ascendants protecting the Archon, exactly as Arthas did in the Wrath of the Lich King cinematic right before he reanimates a dead Sindragosa. Seeing and hearing what Anduin says in this scene also immediately makes me think of my buddy across the pond, Accolonn. He has been talking for weeks, if not months, about how the Primus, the former and missing leader of Maldraxxus, is the only one of the Covenant leaders to refer to the Jailer as brother. Now we have the Jailer, through Anduin, referring to himself as the brother of the Archon. Are the Eternal Ones all actual siblings, or could the Jailer and the Primus just be using the term brother as someone that is or was extremely close to them, similar to the phrase brother in arms? It's a question that we should all be asking ourselves, because my gut tells me it's going to be pivotal in how all of this shakes out. The third parallel is very obviously Anduin's new look. His long blonde hair has always been Arthas-esque, but the corruption of the Jailer and the Kingsmourne has now turned those golden locks silvery white, and now he's the spitting image of a younger Arthas. Another quick aside, this awesome scene of Anduin erupting out of the cloud of death magic and Rawful stomping the Archon is a very cool throwback to the move his father Varian executed when he leapt off the ship to kill the gigantic Fell Reaver at the Broken Shore back in Legion. You can even hear the music shift a little to mirror the tone of Varian's heroic act. It also reminded me of when Grom Hellscream jumped through an explosion of fire and buried Gorehowl in the face of Manaroth in the Warlords of Draenor cinematic. 2 more outstanding jobs by Tyrion Gregory and crew of helping us remember those cool sequences, but also revealing the conflicting drama surrounding all 3. Varian and Grom were performing actions to save and liberate. Anduin's action is one of corruption and death. Back to the plot of this cinematic. When Anduin does the deed, you can clearly see the Archon's soul, or anima, being pulled from her into the new Mournblade, and for a brief moment we see Anduin break free from the hold of the Jailer and start to realize exactly what he's done. It's only brief, however, as the runes reactivate and the Jailer reaffirms his grasp on Anduin's mind. Before Anduin kills the Archon, he tells her that she has a key that he needs. He also tells her that the prison, or the Maul, could not hold him forever, after she asked him how he escaped. Another hidden clue that the Jailer is controlling Anduin, as those are the Jailer's words, not the Boy King. That was the tip-off she needed to understand that this was indeed the Jailer. Apparently her soul was the key that was needed. In the conclusion of the cinematic, we see Anduin return to the jailer and Sylvanas in the Maw, and hand over the newly stolen soul of the Archon to the jailer. It is telling here that the jailer still refers to Anduin not by name, but as a vessel, and it. As he extracts the soul, it takes a specific shape, which if you're an observant member of Bastion, you'll immediately recognize as the symbol for the entire Covenant, one that's built into the very architecture of many of the buildings in the realm. The jailer states 3 keys remain, which makes one wonder if the other 3 keys are the souls of the other 3 Covenant leaders. If that's the case, we really are screwed, and it's going to take a Hail Mary to get back into this game. There's a popular theory going around that the Primus is actually the Rune Carver. If true, that means the jailer can simply kill him last, since he's been tied up on Torghast's front porch for the entire expansion. Denathrius has been beaten, but he's not dead. His soul is imprisoned inside his own sword, Remornia, atop a tower in Revendreth. If the jailer can get an agent into the very heart of Bastion and kill the Archon in 30 seconds, something tells me retrieving Denathrius' soul won't be an issue. That only leaves the Winter Queen, and we know that Ardenweald, or specifically the Heart of the Forest, has larger significance to the overall plan of the jailer. I don't know if we can properly calculate the size of the target on the Queen's back, but if I were her, I'd start arming the Great Hunt with proton packs, because death will be knocking any minute now. As the cinematic concludes, we hear the jailer utter his spine-shivering line, stating that everyone will soon learn that death was never meant to be chained. Sylvanas, who has no dialogue in this one, still has a concerned look laden with doubt as she gazes at a mind-controlled Anduin. We also see 2 massive chains attached to a floating landmass in the Maw, which we now know to be the newest area to explore in 9.1, Korthia. It seems that this new subzone of the Maw will be holding secrets related to the first ones and will be instrumental in helping the jailer execute his plan. So there's your quick and dirty breakdown of the Kingsmourne cinematic, another tremendous piece of work by Blizzard's cinematic team. I'm usually horrible at predictions, but I really hope the tons of Arthas Anduin references that have been scattered throughout 2 expansions now pay off in the end. We know Arthas is in the Maw somewhere. I would be floored and extremely disappointed if we do not see him at some point in its story. I'm hopeful that Arthas will also see the parallels of his descent to Anduin's and do something that helps to break Anduin free. While I would love to see some kind of redemption for Lordaeron's fallen prince, I certainly don't expect him to return to life or to Azeroth. His actions would probably bring him a true death, but would also save Anduin in the process. Then of course there's the Shadowlands themselves. We know that the entire realm is a construct of some kind. Will it be completely torn apart at the end of the expansion? Or will the Covenants return with new leaders to control the machine of death once more? I do not anticipate any of the internal ones surviving. The Archon is now dead. Denathrius is, for all intents and purposes, dead. The Primus, even if he is the Rune Carver, will also die, as will the Winter Queen. If the Shadowlands survive, the Covenants will need new stewardship. How cool would it be if Sylvanas, as a sacrificial act, takes the jailer's place as Keeper of the Maw? Uther could lead Bastion. Kael'thas, or Arthas, could take over Revendreth. That only leaves Ardenweald. How sweet would it be to reveal that the only way to save Tyrande from the curse or power of the Night Warrior is to sacrifice her greatest love, Malfurion. She would return to continue to lead the Night Elves, and he would be bound to Ardenweald. Yeah, that's kind of out there, but I'm just spitballing here. We'll see what happens. We still have at least 2 major patches to go after 9.1, so there's literally a million different curveballs this story could throw at us. Thanks a ton for watching, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and leave a comment or 2. You can find me over on Twitch at SourMashAndScotch and Twitter at TrollingAzeroth. I'll leave the details in the description below. I'll also add Accolonn's Twitch and YouTube channel links as well. This is Scotch, one half of SourMashAndScotch, and as always, I hope you each have a great day. Take care of yourselves, and I hope you see you soon.